How are you?
Yes, sir. Fine. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So, Rupa, can you tell us something about yourself?
So, I'm Rupa Heralgi, completed my BE in Computer and Information Science, and I have joined the software testing course with manual and automation, and I have joined Reliance Smart company,
Mm-hmm.
and in there I have uh, taken the role as QA. I done both manual and automation testing there, and in manual testing, did functional testing, regression testing, sanity testing, smoke testing, all functional testing.
Mm.
Then I have defect reporting, and in we use the agile methodology in there, and I have participated in the stand-up meeting uh, of that agile ceremony and retrospective meeting, and I have worked on QA on automation project using Selenium and Java, where I used the hybrid framework. In
Mm-hmm.
there, we use Cucumber and BDD framework.
Right, right.
Yes, sir.
Great, great. Yeah. So now, you were telling about hybrid framework. So can you explain the hybrid framework?
Hybrid framework means you are using the TestNG there, and Cucumber and BDD framework. They both are all are combined together to work on a automation project.
Right. So which are the locators that you are using?
I'm using ID locator, name locator, and XPath.
Okay. So what are the different types of XPath that you are aware of?
uh, Different types of XPath, relative XPath and absolute XPath.
What is the difference between the two?
Sorry.
So what is the difference between XPath and absolute XPath?
Absolute XPath means it is taken path from the root, that is from HTML. And relative means we can go through the relative path of that particular web element.
Mm-hmm.
And in absolute web XPath, we use single slash, and in relative, we use double slash.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Which is more reliable, relative XPath or absolute XPath?
Relative XPath is more useful.
Correct, correct. So let me share your screen to get an idea. See, these are the basic differences. I think you covered absolute XPath starts from root node. Relative XPath directly jumps to the element on the DOM. So this is very important that you speak this jumps to the element on the DOM. Here it starts with a single slash. Here it starts with a double slash. I think you covered this point as well. Then absolute XPath, we use only tags, nodes. In relative XPath, we use attributes. This is an example. Yeah, this is an example. You can see it's a longer path. So it's an
Yeah,
absolute XPath. And here it's relative XPath,
relative.
right? So this is how you can tell. Okay. Now, let me tell you about. Okay. What is stale element reference exception?
Stale element reference. The pointer is not pointing to the particular web element. That is stale element.
Mm-hmm. See, basically in stale element reference exception, if you will understand, you had automated that particular element using some locator. But now that particular locator is not present in the entire DOM. Stale, right? It has become outdated. It is no longer present on that particular DOM or that particular page. So that is what you call as a stale element reference exception, right? Okay. What are the different weights that you are aware about?
Implicit weight, explicit weight,
Mm-hmm. And
and web fiber
what about fluent weight?
fluent weight. No, sir, I don't.
Okay, okay. So tell me, what is the difference between explicit weight and implicit weight?
In explicit weight, the we temporarily uh, stop the
Mm-hmm.
execution till the element is visible. Then also we stop the execution. And in implicit wait, we can wait for that particular web element is visible.
Hmm.
That is implicit wait.
See, implicit weight is a global weight that would be applied to all the elements, while explicit weight is based on some particular conditions to be true. So, for
Mm.
example, you are waiting for an element to be,
Not audible, sir.
hello, hello, is
Yes.
it audible?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So, you are hearing any background noise here? Any
No,
background
sir.
voices coming? Okay, okay. There was this internet connectivity issue. Okay. So we were discussing about implicit weight and explicit weight. So implicit weight is it's a kind of a global weight. It is applicable to all the elements that you are declaring. But explicit weight can be applied to one particular single element for which you are trying to automate. Let's say in explicit weight, you can have multiple conditions. For example, you are waiting for some element to be visible, or
Mm.
you are waiting for some particular element to be uh, for maybe waiting for a URL to change, right? Or
Okay.
waiting for some text to appear, right? And then you will automate that particular element. So you can wait explicitly for some particular element and that particular action to happen. And then only you will consider it for the test automation, right? So that is the significance of the explicit weight. Explicit weight is generally used more compared to implicit weight, right? It's not like implicit weight is not used at all, but the advantage of explicit weight is comparatively more compared to implicit weight, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, let me share my screen. Okay. So tell me, how will you automate this particular scenario? So you have a button and you're
But
trying to automate a web-based application, and you have a button in that web-based application that is disabled when the
mm,
page loads and becomes clickable after 10 seconds, right? So initial level, when the page is loading, that button is disabled, but it will become clickable after 10 seconds. So how will you automate this scenario?
so I will use the thread dot sleep for 10
Hmm.
seconds.
Sorry, for 10 seconds.
Yeah,
Okay.
thread
Now
dot.
let's say um, it becomes clickable. At times it becomes clickable after 10 seconds. At times it might become clickable after 20 seconds. So it's a dynamic thing, right?
Okay.
So thread.sleep is won't be working here. And again, one more thing important about thread.sleep is that thread.sleep is should not be used as per the best practices and standards,
Mhm.
right?
Then then we use that weight also, and the condition, if the button is active, then we have to click.
Right, right. So which is that condition? What is that condition? You are very close to the answer. Yes.
Is enable driver dot that button is enable, then we click that button.
Right. Okay. But you will have to wait for some
Like,
particular moment, right? So would you use wait here?
yes, sir. Before that condition applying, we wait for that 10 to 20 seconds, then
Mm-hmm.
we apply that condition
Mm-hmm.
and automate that one.
Right, right. So see, uh, what kind of weight will you use? Let me ask you that question.
uh, we'll use explicit weight.
Correct, correct. So you'll use explicit weight and
Mm.
your, this would be your answer, right? So you have one of the condition element to be clickable. So you will wait for that element to be clickable, right? Expected conditions dot element to be clickable by dot ID. You can apply duration of seconds, right? And that's how you will be going for this, right? Again, you are using explicit wait only here.
Yes.
Not required implicit wait because this is with respect to that button itself,
Mhm.
right? Clear? And this is how you have to explain in an interview as well. WebDriver wait equal to new WebDriver wait. You are creating an object and then you are applying explicit wait, one of the conditions there. Even if you are not able to recall this exact condition, that's also totally fine. But you have to tell that what would be your approach,
Okay.
right?
Yes.
Okay, great. Wonderful. So, good thing is you are able to tell that you will be using explicit wait. Mhm. Fine. Now, let me share my screen. Hmm. So you have two tests in the same class, right? And you have to find the radio button on the application on the login page. So let's say there is a radio button control on the login page. You have a username field, you have a password field, you have a kind of a new user, existing user kind of a radio button page is there, right? You want to execute the second test case.
Okay.
So how will you do?
I have to do this.
So imagine there is a login screen. It has got username, it has got password field, right? And it has got two radio buttons as well. One radio button is for s- new user. Second radio button is for existing user. Okay. Now you have two tests in your class. You want to execute the second test case only. So how will you do it?
So I use annotations. That's it.
What kind of annotations?
Uh, Depending on that, which function, which test I have to test first. That based on that.
Hmm. Okay. Are you aware about priority in the test engine?
Yes.
Right? So you can use priority there. Priority
Yes.
equal to one, priority equal to two. According to that, you can prioritize which test case you want to execute.
First.
Right? Okay,
Yes.
great. Okay. What is feature file?
In feature file, Cucumber in Cucumber feature file is used. In there, we write a script in a Gherkin language,
Mm-hmm.
which would be understood by all the stakeholders, business analyst, and the programmer. For that purpose, the Cucumber is used. So the feature file is saved as a dot feature uh, extension.
Correct, correct. Okay. Which are the keywords that you are using in a feature file?
In feature file, we use feature uh, and the functionality for which we have writing the test cases like for login functionality like that. And we
Mm.
use given, when, then keywords
Mm.
for the execution of the application.
Wonderful. Now, can you explain these given, when, then, and keywords?
Given is the prerequisite.
Mm-hmm.
where we declare the prerequisite. For example, given the URL name, which URL we want to test, that
Mhm.
one. Then when means the um, functionality we are checking, like for example, when user enters the email and password, and then is the action keyword where we can apply the uh, screenshots or some validity. For that one we use then.
Yeah. So you have given, which is a prerequisite. You have when keyword, which is also called as an action keyword. What you will perform action, what type of action will you perform, right? What are the steps that you will perform? Then you have then keyword, which is the assertion level, or you can say the checkpoint level, or you can say the expected result that you would qualify, that you would write in the then keyword. And you have and is actually a
And
miscellaneous keyword. You want to attach screenshots, you want to
yes.
delete some files, right? For that purpose, you'll be using and keyword. Okay, great. Now let's do one thing. Fine. So now I want you to write the keywords for this particular screen, right? So how
Okay.
would you write the keywords for test automation in a feature file for this particular screen? This is a screen of monsterindia.com, right? You have total experience, you have key skills, you have industry, you have preferred function, right? And you have this upload resume.
Okay.
So you have to write the keywords for this particular screen.
Shall I write or I explain?
Yeah, so you can write it in the Notepad++ Notepad. You can share your screen, right? Let me do one thing. Let me share the screen because you should be able to see that website screenshot. Otherwise, it would be
Yes.
difficult for you, right? Okay, so I have taken that screenshot. Let me share the screen, right? You can take your time to write the keywords. Once you are done with the keywords, then you can share your screen.
Okay.
You got the question, right?
Yes. Yes.
So in a real-time interview also, they will be asking you to write the keyword, to write the code. Those kind of things will be asked.
Okay.
Yeah. Is it done, Rupa?
No, sir, I'm writing, sir.
Okay, okay. So how much you have written so far?
Only one thing I have written, sir.
For the first total experience, have you written it?
For the first total
First.
experience,
Yeah, first
when
field.
user clicks on the drop down button,
Mm-hmm. Okay. Can you share your screen? It is done for the first field total experience, right?
no, sir.
Okay, okay. You can take
Right.
your time. No problem, no problem. You can take your time. Yeah.
I have written for a total experience for that one thing, sir. Shall I share my screen?
Yes, yes. Please, you can share the screen.
Is it visible, sir?
Yes. Right.
This
So,
one.
mm-hmm. So you have written feature validating registration functionality given user navigate to. Okay. When the user clicks on the total experience using drop down button.
List of numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And user is able to select that number.
When user is so, okay. Now see, this is a drop down or this is a text box. So those kind of control wise, you don't need to include that information in the keyword. We can write it simply like when user clicks on the total experience field, right?
Huh. Yes.
Right. And then you will get, then user is able to see the list of numbers. Yeah, can you go back to that screen? User is able to see the list of numbers, right? That's it. Simple,
Okay.
right? So one checkpoint is user should be able to see the list of numbers and select the number. So select the number, then it would be coming in the when. It's an action,
Yeah.
right? Selecting something. You are selecting the number of experience from that field. So that will come in the when keyword. Then
When,
keyword will,
then, and when.
yeah. So again, you will have to include one, again, a pair of when then.
Okay.
When select the number. Then the appropriate, so in the select the number, you can have some parameter, maybe 2, 4, 6, whatever the experience that you will select. That value should be displayed properly. That will come in your then keyword,
Hmm.
right? Clear?
And in one more thing, sir, in if we want to select multiple, like multiple selection option,
Hmm.
then also we have to do the same thing.
Yeah, yeah. Even if you have to select multiple, then in that case, you will be selecting multiple values. So there is a feature available in BDD for that as well. So this is like a in the feature file itself, you can go for scenario outline kind of thing in which
Yes.
you can pass various parameters.
Yes, sir.
Right? Okay, great. Now let me stop sharing your screen. Right, great. Now, um, okay, what is step definition file?
Step definition. In the step definition, we write the code for that feature file
Hmm.
related steps.
Mm-hmm.
By
Okay,
running the feature file, we get the script function method for that function, and then we write it in the step definition file.
correct, correct. Okay. How will you give estimation for the test automation script that you want to work on? Let's say you have to work on this monster page itself that I was showcasing you, the number of years of experience and the other fields. Now you have to automate this particular web page. So how much time would you need to automate this? So how would you give estimation for that?
So, like based on the complexity of the functionality,
Hmm.
if the functionality is more, the complexity is more, then we write a 7 to 8 test cases in a day,
Hmm.
test script. If there is no any conditions, any complexity, then we can write 10 to 12 test cases, test scripts in a day.
Hmm. Okay, fine. So in the test estimation, what all things you have to include? So let me tell you that. See, the very first thing is whenever you have any use case or any story to be automated, so you have to give the estimation. Now, there are different factors that come into picture here. One is, are the test cases for that user story or that particular web page which you are trying to automate are written or not? Right.
Hmm.
So there is a manual team
Yes.
who would be writing the test cases for that particular functionalities. If the test cases are written, yes, then how many test cases are there, right? So if you see that there are 20 to 30 test cases written, then you will check first of all whether those are feasible for automation or not. Feasible means, let's say there are some test cases which cannot be automated. There are some
Yes.
scenarios which cannot be automated. So those test cases you will not count, you will not consider in your automation, right? 100% of automation is not possible. Even if
Yes.
it is possible, then also it takes a lot of maintenance. So first of all, you'll identify how many test cases are feasible for automation, right? Once you get that idea, then as you were telling, you are having this hybrid framework. So you will find out whether the keywords are written for those particular test cases or not. Keywords are written. Then second thing is the locators are created or not,
Hmm.
right? So you would be having page object model as a design pattern or any other. So you'll see if the locators are created or not, right? If the locators are created, then the next thing is you have to write the code for, or you can say the methods or the functions for all the test cases. Or can you reuse the code? For example, in order to navigate to this particular page, you have to log in to the Monster website, right? In order to log into the Monster website, you will have to automate that, but that particular code is done or that particular code is also pending. All
Yes.
the web elements that you are trying to automate on this particular page, are those automated in some other page? Maybe you can reuse that code or you have to write the code from the scratch, right? So these are all the questions that you have to answer when you are trying to give an answer for the test estimation. And apart from this, the normal automation process that you will have, so you'll be creating a new branch in which you will be doing the code for the test automation. Then that particular code would be getting reviewed by your seniors, by your leads. They will review the code, they'll find it useful, they'll find it proper, then they will give you a green signal, and then your pull request would be merged. And before that, you also have to do unit testing. You also have to see if it is working fine with the DevOps integration, right? So those all things you have to take care, and then you have to come up with the estimation for this particular story in the test automation point of view. Is this
Yes.
clear?
Yes, sir.
So your test estimation would be dependent on all these questions, yes or no. And according to that, you have to take the time. Keywords are already written. You can reuse the keywords, so the time taken is less. But if keywords are not written, you have to design those keywords. Then time taken would be more because you have to design those keywords. You have to come up with those given when then combinations, right? Those kind of things.
Sir,
Okay.
can I take the screenshot of this?
Yeah, yeah, you can take the screenshot of this.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Okay, great. Now, what is Jenkins?
Jenkins is a CI/CD tool
Hmm.
where we merge the our test automation script, and the developer will pull that one. Sir, actually, I didn't use the Jenkins.
Okay, so even if you haven't used the Jenkins, you have a basic idea what does Jenkins do. So earlier, the test automation team used to trigger the automation locally, manually by themselves. But since the Jenkins tools or since these DevOps tools have come into the picture, what is happening is Jenkins or these CI/CD tools can trigger the automation at any point of time, at any point of day, right? So let's say even if you have to trigger at 11 p.m. in the night, even if you have to trigger on 11:30 p.m., midnight, Saturdays, Sundays, Jenkins can take care of all these things. So it's a pipeline which has
Hmm.
various stages. And in those stages, it would take care of taking the latest code and triggering the automation. And then you can come to know whether your code, the new code or the new build that you have got from the development team, that is working fine or not, right?
Oh, yes.
No problem, no problem. Okay, fine.
And
Now,
reports will generate in the Jenkins.
so reports would be generated by the Jenkins, and in that Jenkins, you have a feature of email. So you can collect those reports and you can send that in the form of email to yourself, to your team members. If your leads are also asking for those kind of things, then you can also request them to add their email addresses in the email feed itself. Right? Okay. Um, how will you take screenshots in Selenium?
By using the interface take screenshot as,
Mhm.
and with that function also method like take screenshot as and file name.
Okay. How many types of exceptions you have faced in Selenium?
Out of exception like
Mhm.
out of boundary, that one.
Okay.
uh, in the
So
array
you are telling index.
index array out of bound
Okay. So
exception.
that is the exception that you would get mostly in the Java. You are using arrays. Are you getting that in Selenium as well?
No.
Right. In
Yes.
the Selenium, you might would have got element not found exception,
Yes.
stale, right? Stale element reference exception. Those kind of exceptions you can tell. Fine. Fine, Rupa. I am done with the interview. Do you have any questions for me?
Yes, sir. In what that field I have to improve that.
Sure, sure. So, see, one is the confidence level, right? There were questions that you know the answer, but you are not feeling that much confident. So, you have to overcome this fear. You have to overcome this nervousness, right? So, you have to uh, tell the answers with the confidence. For example, the feature file one, when you were writing that particular keywords, you knew the answer, right? For even for BDD, you knew the answer. There were questions like weights, implicit weight, explicit weight, relative X path versus absolute X path. You were able to answer all these questions. You were able to answer more than 60 to 70% of the questions in today's interview. But the confidence level that you have to showcase. Right. Second thing is, you can get some more knowledge on DevOps tools, right? Jenkins. No one will expect you to be a pro in DevOps, but at least the basic things, if you can get some idea, right? That would be
Okay.
great.